Okay, let's begin. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Committee on Public Services. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Just mark her down as excused right now.
Commissioner Palomera,
Here.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Hattis, Commissioner Baydoun has requested an excuse. Commissioner Dobb. Here. Chairman Markey,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I have none. Next item.
C, approval of the October 11, 2022 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Approval and support. Any questions, comments, changes of the meeting minutes? Okay, all those who approve, say aye.
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 Any nays, abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Next item.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Okay, next item.
Item 1, under new business, resolution number 2022-35 from the Charter Township of Brownstown Board of Trustees requesting that the Wayne County Facilities Inclusion Committee deny the City of Riverview's amended application for its proposed expansion of the Riverview Land Preserve.
Okay, thank you. We don't have much information on this, but Patrick Collins here to tell us about it.
Good morning, Commissioners. Patrick Cullen, DPS Environmental Services Division Director. I really think this is a receive and file for the committee. This is a resolution from Brownstown Township opposing the proposed expansion of the City of Riverview's landfill. This is a process that's been going on for 5 years. And just as a brief background, state law requires any new or expanded solid waste facility to be considered what is consistent or included in the local county solid waste management plan. Wayne County Solid Waste Management Plan has a process in it by which a new or expanded facility has to go through in order to be considered consistent or included in the plan. Riverview has been going through this process for the last 5 years. Our plan has a subcommittee that considers each application for new disposal areas. The subcommittee, it's known as the Facility Inclusion Committee, has sent Riverview back to the drawing board essentially a couple of different times to come back with further amendments to their proposal. So we are currently in a public comment period pursuant to the county's plan. And so there's a lot of information coming in from residents and local municipalities regarding the proposal. The facilities located in Commissioner Palomara's district, he's well aware of the issue. And it also impacts Commissioner Basham's district as well. He's also well aware of the issue.
Okay, I don't remember ever getting this before, so this is just a receive and file showing that they don't want this. Okay, any questions on this? Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Patrick, last time the permit was not acted on, I don't think was it actually denied last time, or was it just not approved, and is there a difference?
Yeah, they sent the committee at the last meeting, which was in August of 21, informed Riverview that they wanted amendments or revisions to their application.
Right.
And then the Riverview had 9 months to submit the revised proposal, which they did in May. And so the next meeting of the committee is to consider the revised proposal.
And one of those revisions that was recommended by the Inclusion Committee was to move the road, the access road. Is that accurate?
That is, yes.
That required Brownstown approval if they were going to move that road, which this resolution that we're receiving from Brownstown is opposed to the permit expansion, which means Brownstown never gave them that permit to go through their community. Is that right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Does the current expansion plan also still include demolishing a few holes on the golf course to expand?
It does.
Okay. For many reasons, I remain steadfastly opposed to that expansion. I hope you will share that communication as I've done in writing before to you, before the full body when they meet as a public group in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Else? Okay. Let's take all of these until the very end. So this is going to be a receive and file. All right, thank you. All right, next item.
Item 2, requesting commissioner approval of a resolution authorizing the issuance of revenue bonds for Phase 1 Long-Term Corrective Action Plan improvements to the Rouge Valley sewage disposal system.
Oh, you're up here a lot today, I think.
Morning, Commissioners. Patrick Cullen, DPS ESD Director. What's before you here is a resolution to authorize the issuance of bonds from the State Revolving Fund up to $13 million to continue our work on the Rouge Valley Sewage Disposal System's long-term corrective action plan. Earlier, a couple of months ago, the committee and the commission authorized the notice of intent to issue these bonds. You'll recall a year ago, we issued the first set of SRF funding for this project that set us out on the pathway to do a lot of sewer televising and the initial sewer rehab work that's getting done right now. This next phase is going to continue that work. We are rehabbing, I want to say it's in the thousands of feet of sewer linings, but the big chunk of this money is going to be towards the installation of refurbished manholes throughout the system. They're called burping manholes that allow the water when we have heavy rain events to discharge but not come back into the system. In other words, it doesn't allow the river water, they're going to be raised a bit and it's going to not allow infiltration into the system to overwhelm the sewage disposal system. There are also other improvements being done as a result of this money to various regulators and lift stations throughout the system. So this is part of a 10-year, we're in roughly year 2 of a 10-year, $100 million improvement of the Rouge Valley system. We're under an order of abatement from the state to do this work. So we have to do it. We have to move forward somehow. And we're trying to do it in the most economically, in the way that benefits the locals the most and doesn't impact them from a financial standpoint as much. So we're trying to leverage as many resources that we can. The state revolving funds are critical to that because we will get some principal forgiveness as a result of these loans. And the communities are well aware of the work that we're doing. They've been engaged in all we meet quarterly with them to talk about the project. And the big, just as a preview, and we're still a few years down the road from this, the big chunk of that $100 million is going to be the construction of a storage facility somewhere in the Middle Rouge system to be determined. That's going to be a retention facility that holds a lot of flow during heavy wet weather events. So that's sort of an overview of where we're at with LTCAP.
With we've noticed I noticed in the fiscal evaluation of this, that Eagle, there's going to be some Eagle money. Have we gotten any of that from the state?
So we have not utilized, there is Eagle money that's out there that we have applied for. And I should say the state revolving fund is kind of Eagle money too, because they're the ones who kind of authorize all of this funding. They have dedicated some monies towards wastewater construction facilities. We are in that process. It's not been awarded to us as of yet, but we're hopeful that we're going to be able to utilize some of that to leverage these SRF loan dollars.
Do you think that's a pretty significant amount?
It is, yes. It's in the tens of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Yep.
I'd just like to note that Commissioner Baydoun has joined us. Any questions by commissioners with this? I have another question that, let's see here. I'm wondering if you can just explain this to me. I'm going to read you a paragraph from our fiscal agency, if that's okay.
Sure.
As additional security for the bonds, a pledge fund shall be established and maintained solely for the payment of principal and interest on the bonds. The pledge assets are insufficient to make any payment of principal and or interest. The county shall be obligated to make these payments in the same manner to the same extent as other general obligation bonds of the county, including the levy of a tax on taxable property without limitation as to the rate or to the amount.
So I am not the fiscal guru expert. I can tell you that all of the funding, the majority of the funding that goes towards this project and everything related to the operation of the Rouge Valley system is paid by the customers of the system, and that's 13 communities and Metro Airport that are contribute flow into the system. So it's all a rate pass through, everything that comes out, and we try really hard to maintain those rates and keep them low. You know, I've been told it's too early to really tell how much of an impact this whole project's going to have on rates. So far, it hasn't had a big impact at all. There's been some fund balance that we've been able to utilize up to this point, in addition to, and we're just now starting to do the work and start utilizing some of the revenue funds. But I do know that it's going to be it's paid through by the rates, and I'm losing my mind. That's it. I was
I'm
going to say
sure-
something else and I forgot.
Yeah, I'm sure when we get to the rates, which will be
Right.
in number 9, we'll probably have some more questions about
Okay.
that. Any questions? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Abbo.
Madam Chair, on the provision that you just read, most municipal bond issues include that language. But as Patrick had indicated, the funding source for the repayment of the bonds will be rates. After that, it's a general obligation of the county. And then after that, if it can't be repaid, it would become a judgment levy. I mean, and the reason they include that is a lot of it is to get a favorable interest rate when we're issuing the bonds. I notice in the language, it can't be more than 6%. I'm hoping it's not that high. But without that language, probably the rate would be even higher, because that would mean that the creditors would be taking a greater risk. And to the extent that you can minimize the risk, means more favorable interest rates for the county.
Okay, so this eventually means if worse came to worse, a judgment levy would.
Yeah, but again, going to the rates of the jurisdictions that'll be utilizing the services is what everybody will probably be looking for as the repayment means.
Right, thank you.
One additional thing too, the 95% of the rates that are paid by the customers are passed through to GLWA for the disposal system at the end of the pipe. So the vast majority of the money that we collect to operate the system actually is a pass through to GLWA for treatment. Rouge Valley is just a transfer pipe from the customers to GLWA for treatment at the Detroit
Okay.
plant. So
Okay. And so Dearborn isn't on this
Correct.
list because Dearborn totally deals with
Yep.
GLWA? Is
Yep.
that,
that's correct.
and that's why Dearborn got so screwed up? Screwed with their $8 million charge? Okay, well, I'm sure we'll have more questions when we get to
Okay.
the rate.
Yep.
Okay, no one else? Sorry, thank you, Patrick.
Yes.
All right, next item.
Item 3, requesting commissioner approval of Amendment 1 to an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Allen Park.
Okay, and I'd just like to note that Commissioner Vargas joined us. All right, any questions on this? This is extending the park millage project to Gingerbread Park. Yeah. Sounds like a fun park. No questions? All right, next item.
Item 4, requesting commissioner approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Romulus.
Okay, this is for park money too, for Oak Brook Park. And I'll make sure y'all get your resolutions for next. It's getting to a point where I have like one resolution on there. Okay, next item.
Item 5, requesting commission approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Township of Plymouth.
Okay, this is for Plymouth Township and Gulfview Neighborhood Park. Questions on this? All right, next item.
Item 6, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to a 1-year comparable source purchase order terms and conditions with Signs by Craney.
Okay. I think I saw Elizabeth here. I just have a couple questions and I don't, if anybody else has questions on this? Morning. Want to just tell us about this real quick?
Sure, Elizabeth Isler, Chief of Planning, Parks. Yeah, this was an existing, we're going through the process of replacing all of our signs throughout the park system. And this one is specifically in regards to Inkster Valley Golf Course. The sign itself is going on masonry walls, and we had a small amount to repair the walls right at the location of the sign, but then over the winter, the walls themselves are pretty deteriorated. So we're adding the money basically for the masonry work to complete the sign and the walls.
And it's a comparable source because they've been putting up the rest of the signs
Yeah.
throughout the,
Correct.
and is this retroactive as well?
Yeah, it did expire the contract in the summer, and they discovered this issue with the walls kind of during the summer. So then by the time we were just trying to add it to this existing contract, but yeah, it
Okay.
ended in June.
Okay, did you want to say something, Michelle? Yeah, we ask these questions because in full board, you'll get these questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Morning.
Good morning, Michelle Yancey, DPS admin. This is not retro. We have not paid anything to this vendor for the current services that we are requesting right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
the
Right,
contract is, but not the payment.
yeah. You haven't paid anything.
No, we have not paid anything. They have not started work until
Yeah.
this contract is approved.
No, that's good.
Yes.
Any questions? Mr. Palomero.
Not on this, but I just want to comment on the new signs at Elizabeth Park. They look outstanding.
Don't they?
Whoever chose the color, the
Hmm.
materials, the construction, everything about it, this puts a smile on my face every time I go by there. So well done. Thank you.
I think they're amazing. And I know like Livonia wants to have the same type signs for their city parks. I mean, they're amazing signs. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you. Next item.
Item 7, requesting commission approval of Amendment 2 to a 3-year contract with Orchard Hilton McClement.
This is to extend the term of the contract and amend the scope for Cherry Hill Road over the Lower Rouge River Bridge. It's Act 51 funded, and there's additional funding for this for OHM as well. Questions on this? Yep, Commissioner Dobb.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm wondering, why this was selected by Eagle to be monitored for 5 years. We had a bridge restoration project done in Canton a few years ago over the Lily Road Bridge. And I believe that was part of the Rouge River as well. And I don't think that Eagle did the same thing with that. So I'm just wondering why this one was picked.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Sami Kardi, Director of Engineering. This Lower Rouge is under the jurisdiction, it's a natural water course. It's under the jurisdiction of Eagle. And they were involved in this project from day one, and they have mandated that we to do certain things for this natural water course to improve the water quality. So as a result, there was kind of a special project that we have to take on. And now with these special plantings, they recommended, they want to make sure growth continues for 3 years. So we had to consult with the designer OHM to do the annual monitoring report.
Okay, this is a natural water course, so this is not a county drain? Is
No,
that correct?
It's not on a Wayne County drain. It's.
Okay. And then one more question. Do you have any updates on the construction of the bridge and when that might be completed?
Yeah, the bridge, it's a culvert type of structure. This has been in place. We have backfilled. The pavement has been done, I think since last week, but we're just waiting on curing time. And after the curing is done and the strength of the concrete is acceptable for construction road traffic, then we will do the restoration and we do the guardrails. And these are the final stages of the project.
Okay, so we're nearing the finish line.
We should, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, next item.
Item 8, requesting commission approval of retroactive Amendment 1 to a comparable source contract with JF Brennan Company.
Okay, anyone on for this one? This item?
Yes, thank you,
Commissioner
Madam.
Palomero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I forget the pier numbers. There's odd number piers that need repair or even number. So could you clarify for me, are these piers that have not been touched yet for repair, or is this follow-up work on some piers that have already been repaired but need additional repair? So which repairs are these piers?
Yeah, I mean, I got involved in this project in the last 2 months only when I became in this position. Yes, these are the even piers that they were done in emergency case. So the 2, 4, 8, and 10, these are emergency ones. They were done by JF Brennan.
So these have already been done,
Yes.
and this is additional work to the ones that have been done.
These ones that were requesting additional because as a result, the 8 and 10, they were not additional, they were included. But they had to do, it looks like they found out they need a special material, additional material. So
Okay.
that's why they're asking for a little bit.
And then the
more.
odd number piers also need to be repaired, I understand. When is that going to take place? Come on up, Michelle. Come on, I see you back
Yeah.
there. Come on, help.
Yeah, we are looking into, we have a consultant on board to look into the repair of these odd piers as well as some of the substructure. So that's in the work.
Okay. Michelle?
I just want to confirm that the work that was actually done for this retroactive contract. Where's the piece of paper? I'm sorry, I just need that.
Oh, you need the one you gave me.
This remains a huge
This-
issue in Grozeal, as you
Correct.
might imagine.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. This work was done. So these piers, 8 and 10 was, let me see, I wrote it down, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 8 and 10.
8 and 10, they needed to perform encapsulation over them.
So
So it's been
most of
done.
the work has been done. This is just additional work on the piers that have been replaced. And it's the odd number piers that still need to be repaired, but we're just waiting on when that is going to happen. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And hoping. Thank you.
Welcome.
And why is this retroactive, this contract?
This bridge, the whole process was moving expeditiously. And so work that was needed by the contractor Brennan was advised to our CE service, which was H&TB. Brenner informed H&TB that these services was needed, that the piers 8 and 10 needed to be encapsulated, that water work needed to be done due to delays. Extensive night work was due to delays in the permit process. So that's why this was late. Wasn't notified, us in general, by H&TB till after this service was performed by Brenner. That we needed to do a modification at the time when the services were notified. And then once we received all the bills and things like that, we noticed that they did extra work to secure those piers and do the night work. So we apologize.
No, it's very.
DPS tends not to have retroactives, and I try to be on the contracts as much as possible, but certain things in construction, when you get the final bills and things like that, and with our change of department leaders and things like that, it just fell by the wayside, sorry.
It's just good practice for you because you're gonna have to do it on Thursday. Any other questions? Yep, go ahead.
So where in the process are the other pillars?
Right now, we have selected a consultant to do the design. So they just started the process after we get the contract signed and given to the consultant. So they are at the early stage of the design.
After the consulting gets done, then what?
Well, it depends how much money that's gonna come up with. I mean, the design, we're anticipating the design is gonna be completed by almost fall of next year. And then we will know how much that's gonna cost. And obviously, then we have to let the project after we maybe secure some funding, so it all depends on the funding, when are we gonna start this project. But we are gonna make sure after the design is done, secure a contract in place.
Thinking at least 2 years out before.
Probably
That could
around
be
2
a
years, it will be probably 2024 construction, if everything goes well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item.
Item 9, requesting commission approval of the proposed 2022-2023 sewage disposal system monthly fixed rates for the Rouge Valley Sewage Disposal System.
Again?
Yes, I'm going to defer to Moina Moore, who I believe is participating virtually to address this one.
And who's this? Who did you say?
Moina Moore,
Oh, Moina, okay.
DPS or ESD Finance Director.
Okay,
Good morning, all. Can you hear me okay?
everybody can hear you.
Okay, good, thank you. Good morning, yes, what you see in
No,
front,
wait, hold on. I don't think everyone can hear you.
sorry.
Is everybody having a hard time? Yeah, can you make sure you speak louder?
Yeah, let me close my door, 1 second.
Okay,
All right, is that a little better?
yes.
Okay, good, thank you. I didn't want to disturb anyone else. Good morning, everyone. Through the chair, Moina Moore, Division Director for DPS Finance. And what you do have in front of you is the proposed Rouge Valley Sewage Disposal System rates for fiscal year 23. And the fiscal year for this particular enterprise fund started July 1 of 2022.
Okay, so these rates are lower
Yes.
than they have been.
Yes, these rates are lower, depending on the segment that you're looking at, but overall it's about 3.4% lower. But very specific to when you don't include the debt portions of this, it's about 3.62% lower than the prior fiscal year. And that's primarily due, and you heard Patrick Cullen speak earlier regarding the funding for the SRF loan. We're now funding for that piece, so we're no longer assessing in the operations and maintenance budget. So those things have been pulled out, which allowed the overall rate to be reduced.
Okay, has this already gone to the communities for their review, or do we approve it first and then it goes to the communities?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We met with the communities back in June initially, went through the package. There were questions and concerns and some revisions as a result of that. We did some research, we made some changes, sent it back out to the communities for final comment, and then moved it to this body for review and approval.
And then do the communities then have to approve this themselves? Or they just gave you comments or they actually voted on this to approve it?
The communities actually just give us feedback and comments that we work with them to address, but they do not approve the rates themselves, as this is a Wayne County system and an enterprise fund. So ultimately, it's this body and ultimately through full board that would actually approve and adopt.
Anybody have questions on this at this point?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move approval of items 1 through 9 with.
We still have an addenda after this.
Oh, we do?
Yeah,
Okay,
but I'll make sure that you can do that.
thank you.
I have another question on this. Are there, since we were educated very quickly about what was going on with the GLEWA rates and what was happening to the communities, do we have any communities here that are behind in any of their payments for this system? And is anybody getting like charged because communities are being lax with their payments?
So a good question. I don't have the accounts receivable balances for all 13 of the communities in front of me, but I certainly can follow up with this body with that information. But when you ask the question if anyone's being charged because of anyone else's delinquency, that's not our practice. We would pursue collecting outstanding receivables to, again, have them make good on that portion. We're not at a phase with Rouge Valley, to the best of my knowledge, were there any communities that are severely delinquent? But again, I will capture that information and then send it to you all through the chair so that you can see exactly where they stand as it relates to Rouge Valley.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I know there's some communities that are still, even though they're not on Rouge Valley, they're still paying off some of the debt when they were using this system.
Correct. That would be the Watua communities, as they're called, Northville, Plymouth, and Canton Townships.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for sending me that information and I can disperse it to committee members before our vote next full board. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, I appreciate you being on. Thank you. All right, next item.
Item 10 on the addenda, requesting commission approval of Amendment 6 to a 3-year agreement with a 2-year option to renew with Applied Science.
Okay, this is for maintenance of flow meter and gauges for the Rouge Valley sewage disposal system. This is no change in money, it's an extension of time. Is that correct, Patrick? Okay. Anybody have questions on this? Okay, Commissioner Kinlock.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I move to recommend to the full board approval of items 1 through 9 with the listed parks improvement allocations to be motioned by the respective commissioners.
Okay, and you want number 10 in there too? The
Oh,
addenda?
10, yes, 10.
Yep.
Thank you.
And number 1 will be a receive and file.
Yes, support.
All right, we have an approval of support. Any questions before we vote? Comments? Yep, it'll be all good. I'll have my list ready. Okay. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll for this?
Commissioner Varga? Commissioner Palomero?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis? Commissioner Baydoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb?
Yes.
Chair Markey?
Yes. Okay, the agenda passes and we'll go on to full board. Next item, please.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
None. Next item. Oh, wait, hold on. Commissioner Baydoun.
Yeah, I have a question. This relates to Michigan Avenue. Sammy, I know this is not Wayne County project. This is MDOT. Ford Road is also MDOT. We got an update through the director of roads, Steve Shea, the other day that Ford Road project will be concluded by the end of this month. A lot of people are frustrated with Michigan Avenue and they're asking me, do you have any contact with the engineers at MDOT? Can they give us an update when they're gonna finish Michigan Avenue, like between Brady and Southfield Freeway?
Not really. I mean, they're really facing the same problems. We do shortage, contractors are running out of materials. Right now, we have a big problem that the concrete suppliers don't have the cement slag that they're supposed to use in the concrete mix to avoid the ASR effect. So this is one issue. And also shortage of labor. And unfortunately, also, there are so many jobs these contractors are taking on, but they're stretching so thin. And so they're just moving their personnel from one job to another. And we're facing the same scenario too. So, I mean, I can tell you if this year is really bad, next year is going to be even worse because we have more projects next year than this year. And that's going to be a challenge for us too. So, and if you need really more information, both of these projects under the Taylor TSC. So you can call them directly if you want to, and you can have.
Can you provide me with a contact name and phone number so I can make a call if you don't mind?
Sure, I will.
Okay, thank you, Sammy.
Madam Chair? Yes, I'm not sure if it will go to Sammy. Good morning, how are you?
Fine, good.
Yes, wanted to know if I could get a copy of any improvement or maintenance plans or that may be associated with any roads, county roads within the city of Detroit.
The whole city or a certain district?
Oh, well, my district.
Okay. Which one is yours?
Two, yeah.
Two. Sure. I'll get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, next item.
Public comments?
Okay, anyone in the chambers that have comments? I do not think so. Okay, if we received any emails, Madam Clerk.
There are no emails.
Okay, is anyone on Zoom or on the phone? You have 2 minutes to speak to the Committee on Public Services. We don't interact. We just listen to you. So there's no interaction at this point. Is there, I can't tell if there's anybody with their hand up or see anyone.
There are no hands raised.
Anyone in the public that would like to address the Committee on Public Services? All right, no emails and no one's on the line. Next item.
Adjournment?
Yes.
With the 8th of November being election day, do we have any committee dates yet for November?
Good question. Let's see.
This is Pamela. The meetings that were on Tuesday, the 8th, are on Thursday, the 10th.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome.
Great. Thanks, Pam.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think I heard an approval of support to adjourn.